Oh, hello. My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. Okay, guys, round 2 of ye old Operation Sci-Fi vlog. I am getting started today on The Deep by River Solomon, which was something on my TBR last month, but last month was March, and March was an actual human dumpster fire for me. So this month, we're getting back on track. So The Deep, to my understanding, is basically like, I'm surprised it's considered sci-fi. I would have called it fantasy, like some version of kind of weird fantasy, but my understanding of the setup is that the enslaved people who are being brought, the Middle Passage, from Africa to the United States, the enslaved people who are like cast off the ships become mer people and have their own society. That's like kind of, I think, what the setup is. And I've heard very mixed things. So I've heard people who love this book. I've also heard people who really, they like the idea, but execution didn't work for them. So I'm curious as to what my response will be because, like I said, I've just seen quite mixed responses from readers who I often have similar opinions to. So we'll dive on in. It's not that long, so shouldn't take that long to get through. Okay, so it is later on the same day, and I'm just wrapping up The Deep. This is a book I have a hard time figuring out how to rate because there are things about it that I really like. I really love the character of, is it Yitu? Is that her name? Yitu is great. The characters in this are great. I love the metaphor is so strong. Basically, Yitu is the historian for her people. She is holding their collective memory of pain because, yes, they are. I think when I started this, I was trying to remember exactly what the setup here is, but yes, her people are descendants from enslaved African women who were thrown over the side of ships. And she is holding all of the memories of her people. And so they are all able to live in this, utopia kind of thing. But the cost is to her, and she just can't bear the pain. And so she's kind of trying to escape from that. And, it has like a love story component. Like, there's a lot in this that I like. I just don't know that it actually like fully comes together as a book. So I think I have to give it 3.5 stars, even though I like a lot of the things happening in it. So I would recommend it. I enjoyed it, but I just think it probably needed to either be longer or shorter. It pacing wise and what all is in here, it doesn't feel like it fully comes together for me. I don't know. These are the ones that are so hard for me where I'm I have a critique that makes me not feel like it's as good as I want it to be. But the metaphor here I think is incredibly interesting in terms of the pain, collective pain from a history or a story of a community that is horrific. So that I think was great, but yeah, and again, I did like you can tell I'm very conflicted. I think it has to be a 3.5 star because the actual experience of reading it, I do feel like it was kind of a little bit all over the place. So, but I would definitely try something else from River Solomon. I think they are really an interesting, the ideas here are really interesting and the writing was good. So I would definitely try something else from them. This particular book I think has some issues, but I can see how it could connect for somebody who didn't have a problem with that. So I can see how it made the list. And I definitely, I'm glad that this prompted me to read the book. So success, short one, which I appreciate. I actually also have The Test out by Sylvain Neuvel from the library, which is another really short one. Because I'm kind of coming out of a slump, short things have been my friend. So I think that will probably be the next one that I read. So I will meet you guys back here for that one. Hey, so I'm supposed to start filming right now, but someone just came and curled up in my lap and started purring. So instead, I think I'm going to keep going with The Test by Sylvain Neuvel. So I started it last night and I actually quite was enjoying the chapter that I read. Yes, I was. Hi. You're so cute. I can't handle it. I was quite enjoying the chapter that I read. Basically, the setup seems to be somebody's in the middle of taking their citizenship test in the UK. I think they're immigrants from Iran, and somebody comes in and starts shooting. So it's a pretty short book. I think it's 100 pages maybe, and I read 10 of them. So I think I'll polish that off and then I'll go film after I get some kitten snugs because I just can't resist. He's so cute. A little sweetie pie. I finally had to get up to pee, so goodbye, Hastings. Mommy's gonna go film, and I'll tell you guys what I thought about this book, because I did finish it. But look how cute he is. Ooh. Okay, sorry. Obsessing about my cats is like my #1 hobby now in quarantine life. Okay, so the test. I actually really like this book, guys. Not a book, it's a novella. Really a short story. It's very brief, but yeah, it was super good. I realized when I started it last night that I had gotten it from the library before and for whatever reason didn't finish it. So this is a great lesson. Sometimes when you don't make time to finish things, you're missing out on something you will really enjoy, because I thought this was just fantastic. Like, I don't think it was long enough for me to give it more than a 4-star. Like, it wasn't impactful enough for more than a 4-star. But this is definitely my second favorite thing I've read so far for this, because the writing is great. How much characterization and plot is efficiently packed into this story is so impressive. And I'm hesitant to tell you much more about the book than what I told you in the beginning, because I think you should kind of let it unfold and find out the sci-fi-y parts of it for yourself. But it was fantastic. Highly recommended, very short read. Really surprised me in a positive way. So it's another kind of shorter one on my list done, which is good, because I think I mentioned I'm getting kind of out of a reading slump. So I think one thing that helps me in reading slumps is sort of going slow, reading some shorter things, you know, building up my mojo a little bit. So it was perfect for that. Really enjoyed it. One of my favorite things I've read this month. Yeah, like I said, second favorite behind The Light Brigade so far in this project. So yay, another one down. I'm not sure which book I'm gonna read next. So stay tuned, because we'll just sort of let my mood guide me. Well, hey there. Another day, still in quarantine. These vlogs are gonna be so boring because it's just me in my house, occasionally showing you my cats. Today, we're gonna start a memory called Empire, and I'm very excited about it. My friend Bethany just read it last month, really liked it. I've seen nothing pretty much but good reviews, and it seemed interesting to me when I was scoping out the different summaries. So, hopeful. Getting started today. I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, update. So I am about a quarter of the way through, and I'm into this. I'm like really into this. So basically what's happening is that the setup for this is there is some sort of like future spacey empire with a main kind of like dominating political force called the Empire, and we'll call it the T Empire. And I think that it's based off of like Aztec-y culture, which is cool. So this empire also has like, there's other spacey empires or colonies or whatever out there, and our main character comes from a space station called Lisselle, and her name is Mahit, and she is the new ambassador to the Empire because her predecessor died, or like they don't know what happened to him, but they've gotten a request to send a new ambassador. And this Lisselle station has technology where they can basically like implant the personality of somebody into a new body. And usually this takes like a long time. Like they have years to sort of like merge their personalities, but they don't have enough time for that. So they select her. They put the old ambassador, whose name is Yixander. They put his personality into her, and they like go to the main city. And shenanigans ensue from there. But basically this is going to be like a political machinations kind of story, which I'm down for. She has a cultural liaison assigned to her named 3 Seagrass. I wouldn't say this is like my all-time favorite. Like I'm not like obsessed, but I'm into this. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward, I'm about to go to bed because I gotta go to sleep and go to the doctor in the morning, but I'm looking forward to getting back to it. I was having fun with it. There's some nice humorous moments in it, like the Empire, the style of naming that they have is a number and then an object. And we met somebody whose name is 36 All-Terrain Tundra Vehicle, which I just enjoyed. I appreciated that little humorous moment. So, Memory Called Empire so far. I'm into this one. I like it. And I'm looking forward to getting back to it. So I will let you know how that goes once I get back into it. Hola. It's a few days later, and I have, I think, like 50-ish pages left. So I am really enjoying this. I do think that this book has a little pacing issues at points, but I'm really it's like a lot of political intrigue, which I think I'm realizing I like in sci-fi as much as I like it in fantasy. I think I've also had a breakthrough with this book that I really do. I mean, like, I do like near future sci-fi sometimes, but it does tend to be awful sad. And I think I am finding that I enjoy versions of sci-fi that read almost like high fantasy, in the sense of it being like a totally different world, or like really not recognizably our world. I'm finding that maybe that works a little better. So anyway, I'm gonna polish this bad boy off and I'll let you know kind of my final thoughts. Okay, so I am done with A Memory Called Empire. I like this. I really like this. I would say I really liked how it ended. I thought the ending was incredibly strong. I liked the character stuff. I liked all of the plot pieces. I think the ending felt a little draggy. Like, it just, pacing-wise towards the end, it lost me a little bit. But overall, I think it was really good. It was different, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, very positive experience on this one, and I'd started to see some buzz around it, so maybe I would have gotten to this book, but I don't know that I would have quickly gotten to this book without this challenge, so definitely kind of a win there. I would say, thinking through everything I've read, this is probably my second favorite thing I've read so far. I still prefer The Light Brigade. That's my favorite, but I would probably put this at number 2. I would give this 4 stars. And honestly, if it hadn't had as many pacing issues as I felt like it had, it would probably have gotten a 4.5 star. Because, the world building is cool. The characters are memorable. Yeah, just a lot, I think, to like in this book. I would definitely recommend it and definitely enjoyed it. It doesn't end in a way that makes me think it's a part of a series, but if it were, I would read more in the series. Yeah, all around, thumbs up. Really like this one. So that was kind of a bigger one. I think that was probably like 500-ish pages. So that's also good that I got through one of the bigger ones. What do I have next? I think I'm going to read either Thrawn or Red Rising next. So I just realized I forgot to tell you that I started the next book, which actually is Red Rising. I think when we last spoke, I thought it would be Thrawn, but I decided to start Red Rising. Ooh boy, guys. I think people are not going to be happy with me. I'm really struggling. If I was not reading this book for a challenge, I would have DNF'd it, because the writing is a struggle for me. It reminds me, Hastings, could you not? Sweetie, thank you. The writing is just it's like real dramatic. It's like real melodramatic. And I'm really struggling with it. Setup, I guess, is interesting. So we are on Mars. Humans are on Mars. There is a color-based class system, not racial color, but like colors of the rainbow caste system. And the bottom are the Reds, and they're enslaved people who are terraforming Mars, but they are doing it because they think we're making sacrifices now, but in the future, our children will have it better. Our main character is Darrow. He has a wife named Io, and I'm not sure how much of this I should give away, but basically, like, quickly, we find out that not all is as it seems, and there's like a rebellion, and Io becomes sort of like a big symbol of the rebellion, and Darrow has his own journey he's going to take. It's okay. Like I said, I just think there's nothing that special about this yet, and the writing for my taste is so bad. Or it's not bad. It rings really badly in my ear, my reading ear, that were I not reading it for this challenge, I would 1000% have DNF'd it. At this point, the best case scenario I foresee is a 3-star, but who knows? Maybe shit is gonna get real interesting and I will completely change my mind, but I am about a third of the way through. There's a lot of plot in this book. I'm only a third of the way through and a lot has happened. We'll see what happens. I'm trying to keep an open mind, but it is hard. I don't know. I think some of it is that, like, the more I do read a lot, and the older I get, the better and better I am at picking books I'm gonna like, and knowing pretty early on in a book if I think there's a very good chance I'm not gonna end up loving it. So I think it gets harder for me to keep an open mind, but I'm really trying, because I know that this is a beloved series. I mean, the reason I'm even reading it for this challenge is that the 6th book in the series was such a big hit. Like, people love this series, so it's very popular. I at least want to be able to understand why it's so popular. And, maybe I also need to give it some grace because it is a dystopia type thing and we're living in dystopian times, so maybe that's also skewing my perspective. I don't know. But I will keep going. I will let you know if things evolve positively or negatively. We'll see. Okay, quick check-in. I'm filming other things, but I needed to film a check-in for this, so I'm at like 75% of Red Rising. I'm not liking it very much. I feel really petty because it is the writing and frankly the derivative elements from the Hunger Game, but more so the writing that is just not jiving with me. And it's getting to the level where I feel very petty because even just like the mixing, like the way names are structured in this world drives me nuts. It's like these Roman names, but then it has O, which is French for of. So it's like Latin and French, and I know French is a Latinate language, but just like that is driving me crazy. It reads weird to my ears. I like all sci-fi and fantasy worlds, like they have to come up with like their, ye oldie or ye futurey versions of what things are called. Like they have to come up with like new terminology, which is fine. It's just sometimes it does or doesn't click with you. And like even beyond the other writing problems I have, like the things he is choosing to call things drives me a little crazy. Like even just the color thing I'm not into. I feel bad. Guys, I feel bad because I can see how this is a fun book for some people. It's just really not working for me. I'm at like a 2-star right now. I am hoping something real exciting happens in this last like 25 or 30% I've got to go, which I'm going to finish reading this afternoon. So I should be able to tell you if it turns around at all for me, but I feel bad. And this makes me question my decision should I have just DNF'd it? Sometimes things do change. I don't know. You can tell I'm conflicted and annoyed. And I guess that's just how it's going to be. So I'll check in once I've actually finished. So we're done. I was going to pick up my Kindle to show you that, but like, what does that matter? I was reading this Kindle ebook, FYI. Yeah, this book was just not for me. I did like how things kind of started picking up towards the end, like all the stuff with Mustang towards the end, I was into. So I'm going to give it like a 2.5 instead of a 2. I think the end... I'll land there, and also just giving it some benefit of the doubt of just like some of this, I think I just didn't like the writing. And it's the other thing that I struggled with is how much sexual violence there is in this book. And I just didn't feel like the author sold me that it was, not that it needed to be there, because I think that's a weird thing to say, but that it was like worthwhile. When it comes to that stuff, I can be sold that is adding something meaningful to the book, or that it's an interesting conflict, or not a lazy way to make someone villainous. This book didn't really sell me on that. A book that, like, for example, in The Poppy War, there's definitely sexual violence. And maybe this goes into sort of like the author's ability to build up audience goodwill along the way, because like by the time we see that in The Poppy War, I'm really sold on the author's project of like truly depicting the horror of war in a fantasy. Whereas I guess I just didn't have enough, me personally, there was not enough goodwill towards the book for me to give the book the benefit of the doubt of why it was including that stuff, even though I don't necessarily think that the authorial intention was maybe all that different than what R.F. Kuang was trying to do. I don't know. I basically just didn't love this book. It's definitely my least favorite one I finished for this project. I DNF'd Gideon the Ninth, so I guess it's technically my least favorite, but I would have DNF'd this book had it not been for the challenge that I'm doing, that I'm reading this for. So if I had to tell you which one I liked, I think I probably would have ended up giving Gideon the Ninth about a 2.5 or 2 star. So about the same, I think. It just wasn't for me. I know people really love this series, so I feel bad. Can't win them all. So anyway, moving swiftly onwards, I do think that was the 10th book in the project. So we're officially halfway through. And my next one, I think, is going to be Thrawn. That's what I've got on my list to read for the month. So I think that'll be a little more fun. Hopefully kind of wash this experience out a little bit. I also have to say, did I mention this before? I wonder if Red Rising suffers a little bit in my estimation for having just read A Memory Called Empire, because the political machinations in A Memory Called Empire are so much better, in my opinion, than what's in Red Rising. So maybe that's also part of it. Anyway, I should just move onward so that nobody gets mad at me. Okay. I'll see you at Thrawn. Okay, so I did a palate cleansing read of The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa, which was it was fun. It's like a enemies to lovers, or really more like hate to love rom-com kind of deal, and it was just cute. It was really well written, a little too long, but 4 stars, fun. So this was a palate cleanse so that I can get into this, I think, without being still sort of in the Red Rising headspace. I think I shook that off. So I am really excited about this, actually. I'm really hoping that this is just going to be a lot of fun. That's what I'm counting on anyway. So let's see how I do. So Marple today decided to take Hastings' normal napping spot. So Hastings has in turn taken my reading chair. So I've been relegated to the couch. Alrighty, so I reclaimed my reading seat once the cat moved, and I am about 45% of the way through Thrawn. I'm really having fun with this. It's not like particularly like amazingly written or anything. I don't know. It has this thing where I think it thinks it's deeper than it is, but mostly this is like fun space opera rompiness. And okay, so I read at least some of the original Thrawn trilogy back in the day. That series took place after the original trilogy, so like after the Return of the Jedi. This takes place between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, so like Emperor Palpatine is in charge, but it's before like the Rebel Alliance and everything has gotten together. So we're following Thrawn. His real name is Thrawn something. It's long, I don't know. And he is a Chiss, which is like a kind of like mystery species from outside of really the Empire's main control. And they find him on a mission, and he comes in basically like he knew Darth Vader at some point. They had like a mission together, something that Anakin Skywalker told the Emperor about. So the Emperor is interested in Thrawn. He like wants to use him. And Thrawn has this assistant, this aide-de-camp kind of guy who is, his title is Ensign, and then his name is Eli Vanto. And I like their hijinks together. They go to space school together for a little bit. Like Eli was wrapping up his time in like the Imperial Space Navy training. So Thrawn comes with him and has a very like hello fellow kids vibe to it because he's older than all of them, I think, and he already has military experience. So that I've enjoyed that. They've had a couple of like hijinks at their first posting. They're now onto their second posting. It's intercut with this stuff about like space mining with this character name. I think her name is Arinda, and that I don't really care that much about. But anyway, overall, like I wouldn't say this is like awesome, but I'm having fun with it. Like, it's a perfectly fun, like, yeah. I think part of what's interesting is I don't think I realized just how flat I find the Star Wars characters in the main franchise to be. Because, like, all of these characters having, like, internal thoughts is very weird to me, actually. I'm like, wait, you're having, like, full conversations and, like, internal monologue? Like, this feels that's so weird for Star Wars. So anyway, I don't know, I'm having fun with this. Like, I'm pretty jazzed to keep going. Right now it's like probably like at a 3-ish star range, but yeah, this is fun. It's political machinations again, which I enjoy, and I think that's been true for the last 3 of these. That I do think that is something I tend to like in a fantasy and a sci-fi. We're finding that as a consistent theme, and this has that, and I enjoy that bit of it. So I'll keep plugging along. Go Thrawn. Hey, I'm not sure when last we spoke, but I just realized I was like updating spreadsheets and planning and stuff and realized that I don't think I ever actually told you guys that I finished this. So I finished this. This was fun. I'm going to give it between 3 and 3.5. I had a good time with this. It's not, I guess it's not a problem, but there is like a very definite formula to this book, which is hijinks, space fighting hijinks ensue. Thrawn comes up with some sort of like fake deep solution to the quandary that they find themselves in, and then he gets promoted. Like, that's a lot of this book. It's like, this was fun, and it is interesting because it's set in the Empire, and like, I'm remembering now that Thrawn ends up being like the big bad in some of the extended universe trilogies, or like stuff that I read as a kid. So like, it is interesting seeing his backstory and having him be like a very sympathetic character, basically. Yeah, like, this is an interesting project. I think that this is perfectly well written for what it is, and it's fun. Like, it does what it's supposed to do. Like, for instance, like, I think I probably would give this a 3-star. Let's compare this to Recursion. I definitely preferred this to Recursion. I had a much more, like, fun time in it. It's just not, like, it's not excellent, so I don't feel like I can give it a lot more than a 3 and a 3.5. But it's a good time. I think if you go into it with the right spirit, you'll enjoy it. I am disappointed, though, just based on how The Rise of Skywalker went, that I didn't get to see Palpatine's side piece, because that would have been an interesting little tidbit. But this was a good time. I enjoyed this, and a nice palate cleanse, honestly, from Red Rising. I'm filming this in May. May for Operation Sci-Fi was apparently the month of political machinations in space. Of them, I definitely think A Memory Called Empire was the best, but I would put this at number 2 for sure. So, I think, what did I put on my TBR for June? I think I put on Exhalation, Machines Like Me, and Fall. So, I'm not sure which of those I'll read next. We'll find out. What do you think, guys? Is it time for another book? Is it time for another book? I know. We like to sit here, look at our reflection in the window, and meow. Yeah, hey buddy. I don't know if you can hear his little purr. There's Miss Marple. She's a little more shy, but she's here. Yeah? Hey, sweet girl. Okay, guys, it is time for the next book. So I just finished reading The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander as my audio pick, and I was diving straight into the end of Policing, and I was like, I need a little bit of a break. So I'm actually going to start Fall by Neil Stephenson today as my audio pick. And I thought it was appropriate because I'm actually on my way right now to pick up via contactless curbside pickup from Parnassus a mystery box that is SFF. So I'm excited to see what's in that. And we'll go ahead and get going on this next Operation Sci-Fi pick. I'm hoping escaping to a different world might be a good change of pace right now. So let's go pick that up. Let's get started on this book. We'll see how I do. We just picked up. They just dropped it off in my back seat for me. I rolled down the window, contactless delivery, perfect. So I'm gonna keep listening to my audiobook. I think I'm mostly gonna keep listening to audio and curling up with my kittens over the next day. Just because it's hard times, and I think that'll be a nice comfort, whatever. No real impressions so far. I only listened really to, I guess, the equivalent of 40 minutes. So stay tuned. We'll see how things progress. Hey, little girl. Hi. So I'm a few hours in, three hours in, something like that. I'm not sure what to think about this book yet, because I think that the writing itself is pretty nice. I'm not that interested in anything that's going on. So kind of the setup here is that there's this rich dude who's like, I think this is in the future. I feel like they said it was like, maybe it's like 2050-ish, something like that. So it's in the future, and our main character, or at least the guy we're following right now, is a like uber wealthy game designer. So he goes in for like this routine procedure at his doctor's office. It goes wrong and he is brain dead. And so what we're now like unwinding and discovering is that he had made a will at some point, like saying that if he was brain dead, or like if he died or whatever, that they should try to preserve his consciousness, like freeze him and preserve his consciousness when the technology becomes available. And apparently he did this like a long time ago, and so they're all trying to figure out if that's like what they should actually do. It seems like, I think that they're gonna do it. Obviously, because this is like a fucking 1,000-page book or whatever, they're gonna do it. So I assume that from here, we're going to be seeing what happens when he like comes back. So I just told you that in like 20 seconds, and I have already listened to 3 hours of this. So I think at the beginning of this project, I said that for these longer books, so like I've made the commitment that for all the books under 500 pages, even if I'm not enjoying them, I'm going to push through. This book is, I think, like 900 pages. And honestly, if it continues like this, even though I do think it's pretty well written, I'm just not that engaged. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until we actually get to him having his, like, let's see what happens with the actual consciousness, whatever. And if that intrigues me, I'll keep going. But I think at this point, I'm I'm probably at least 10%. So maybe once I get to, I don't know. I want to see what happens like once he actually does this transfer. If I start getting more interested in what's going on, then maybe, but this is a real chunky book. I wouldn't necessarily put anybody off of it. It's just very meandering. So I don't know. I need to give it more time to like engage my interest a little bit more, but it is hard when you've been listening for a long time and it still is not that, I don't know. I just like, maybe this just gets into my philosophy about the way books should work. Like there's just so many books I want to read that it's hard for me to really get excited about the idea of sticking with a book beyond a few hour investment. Does that make sense? Like for short books, if there's like a 250 or 300 page book, even if I'm so on it, unless I just hate it, I'll usually keep going on that, because for me, that's like 4 to 6 hours depending on how difficult the writing is. And honestly, sometimes if the writing is simple, it can be even less than that. So it's less of a commitment. But for books where it's long, this idea that, like, I guess maybe it's more just like the number of hours I'm willing to put in, and maybe that's what it boils down to. I just have a hard time getting myself to commit more than a few hours to something I'm not enjoying. So, okay, that was me processing what my criteria for DNFing something is. Anyway, I'm not sure I'm gonna do that yet, but it's gotta pick up for me to not pull the plug. Okay, so I am filming some other stuff, so I thought I would just go ahead and do my check-in in this setup. I'm real conflicted about what to do, because I have committed a smooth 5 hours to this book already, and there are bits of it that I like. So yes, Homeboy finally died, like they are gonna preserve his whatever, and we're now following his like heir, or like this guy who used to work for him when he was alive, and we're in the middle of this sort of like fake dystopia. Like there's this big attack happening where people are trying to make it seem like there was this like nuclear bombing that didn't actually happen, but they've used like specific tactics on the internet to make it look like it did. And it's very interesting, but I don't think that is the main plot. Like I don't think that this dystopia sidetrack that we're on right now is actually what's really the book is going to be about. So I think I want to kind of let this bit of the book play out. So maybe like give it another hour or so of the audiobook and then make a decision. It is making me realize that I am kind of in the mood for a dystopia, and I think what's all on my list. I think the only one that I know is sort of like a big meaty dystopia, like an epic dystopia, I guess is what I mean by this. Like I'm realizing I'm in the mood for something kind of like epically dystopic. And I think Wanderers by Chuck Wendig kind of fits that bill. So this makes me more excited to get to that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I want to give it a little more time because I want to, I'm not mad at the writing. I am interested in this bit. So like I kind of want to see once we get back to what I think is the main plot, if I can get as into that as I am in this sort of side quest right now. Okay, so I gave it some more time, and I think I'm kind of just in the same place of, I'm not mad at it. Like there are parts of this that are intriguing, but I'm not 900 pages invested in it. I know I keep repeating that, but like it's a long ass book. I really believe books have to earn their length past about 350 or 400 pages. So I'm already somewhat of a hard sell on a doorstop of a book anyway. I'm not even trying to imply that this one doesn't necessarily earn its page count, because I can see if you're more into this kind of book, maybe you'd be super down for it. I think it's just not like my kind of book, but c'est la vie. That's like just part of things. That's part of why I did this challenge, was to try to see if maybe this could be my kind of book, if I could get fully sucked into 900 pages of this. And the answer is no. So I'm not mad at it, but I'm not gonna keep going. So this is a DNF. So if I were gonna rate what I've read so far, I would give it a 3. It's fine. It's just nothing that really like gets my juices flowing. So anyway, we're gonna leave that one there. I think the next book got up is maybe Exhalation or Machines Like Me. So maybe I'll do Machines Like Me, because I think that's also sort of a dystopia kind of thing. Or maybe I should do Exhalation, because that's short stories. I don't know. We'll figure it out. You'll know when I know, when I next check in what I decided. Hey, y'all. It's time for our next book. I look a mess. The world is a mess. Not all. I spent too much of my day trying to get insurance companies to do what they're supposed to do. And I'm not into any of it. It's not a good day. I feel like that means a dystopia would be a good fit for my mood. Good God, I look awful. I have very few preconceptions about this. I really know almost nothing about it, other than it is some kind of dystopia set in an uncanny alternative 1982 London, where Britain has lost the Falklands War. Margaret Thatcher battles Tony Benn for power, and Alan Turing achieves a breakthrough in artificial intelligence. Machines Like Me powerfully portrays two lovers who will be tested beyond their understanding. Okay, there you go. So I guess in some ways maybe this is kind of akin to One Word Kill, which was also set in 1980s London with a sci-fi element. So it's kind of like an alternative history, maybe not a dystopia. That sounds like maybe that was a wrong characterization, but I don't know. This is pretty short. I've got a few hours before bedtime. I'm hoping I might be able to polish this off, and I hope I enjoy it. I had to nope out of Atonement because it just wasn't my deal, wasn't my truth, but I know a lot of people like that book. So maybe. Let's see how this goes. I feel like my stank-ass mood is a good match for kind of a dark book. Okay, I'm back. About 100 pages in. What to say about this book? Sorry, put you in frame here. What to say about this book? It's okay. The writing is very nice, which is to be expected from, good old Ian McEwan. So basically, I read you a little bit about what this is kind of about. So Charlie is our main character, and he inherited a bunch of money, so he bought this AI named Adam for a bunch of money. He's in love with Miranda, and Miranda, I guess, is in love with Charlie. I don't know. He bought Adam kind of just to make her happy. Now they're in like this weird dynamic where she's also like getting down with Adam, even though he's a robot. I don't know. I think this is meant to be amusing on consent, and like ownership of AIs. Like, I think that's often sort of a theme of, like an allegory about the ethics of owning something that appears to have human will or consciousness to some degree. I mean, I'm very sympathetic to Adam, like whenever he's on the page, like he's the most sympathetic character in here for sure. I guess I think it's a little faux deep in its thematic content. It's okay. Like, this is fine. If it wasn't for this challenge, I'd probably go ahead and DNF it at this point, because like it's not like the best. I'm into it enough to keep going for another 200 pages or whatever. It's fine. So I'll stick in with it. I'll let you know kind of where we land. I may not be able to finish this tonight, but I think I can make a good chunk into it. So I think I've got like 50-ish pages left, 270. Yeah, I think that there's like a really good novel in here. I just don't think this is it. There's a lot of just like kind of extra stuff that I just don't know is necessary. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's like this thing that's happening where Charlie and Miranda are, like, have adopted this little boy, and I'm not really sure why he's in there. It's not clear to me why this is set in the past version of the 80s. Like, that I don't know about. Like, why? I don't know. So, I'm a little tired, so I think it's time to sleep. But I'll polish this off tomorrow, and I'll give you my final thoughts. This is okay. I will say this. Ian McEwan is a lovely writer. Like, the actual prose is very enjoyable, nice, like, interested to try something else. But I just don't think this is it, sis. Like, there's just something a little off. I don't know. I'll sleep on it and let you guys know where I land once I finish it.
It is amazing to me how far we've come with this little girl. I mean, she was so scared when I first got her. When I went to pick her up, I mean, I don't want to be mean to the lady who's taking care of her, but she called her a little bitch. And, she was very hissy, very prickly, but she was just scared, and I gave her a lot of space, and look, she's all snuggled up here in the bed. Oh, yeah, you're a sleepy girl, aren't you? Yeah. You're a sleepy girl. But it is amazing what just patience and kindness can do to make a little sweet kitten trust you. Isn't that right, Marple? Good girl.
Okay, it's the next day. I just woke up, finished reading this. So before I go on my Trader Joe's run, I thought I would just tell you that I think I'm pretty much still at just this is I. At the end, we do get a thrilling cameo from Alan Turing for reasons. This is just, like I said, I think I said this last night. There's a good book in here, I think. I just think that this is a little messy in terms of its actual character development and kind of just the foundational choices in terms of like, okay, but why is this set in alternative 1980s? Could this have been set in like the alternative 2000s? There's something just that doesn't totally make this awesome for me, but I did very much enjoy the writing, and this has made me much more open to trying something else from Ian McEwan in the future. This particular book just wasn't like a fave for me, so I think I'd probably give it like 3 stars. I went and checked Goodreads reviews, and I saw that my boy Ron Charles seems like he had a pretty similar response that I did, which, enjoy, and also gave it 3 stars. So I'll co-sign on that and say, yeah, like this is fine, but not awesome. In terms of other 3-star books in this challenge so far, I like this better than like Recursion, for example, but I'm not sure I like it as much as I liked Thrawn. I gotta tell you. I probably liked it better than Thrawn, or I liked Thrawn better than this, so I don't know. So I think I'm going to read one more book for this video, because then that will mean I have like 6 left, and some of the ones at that point that will be left, I'm going to leave some of like the big chunky ones for the next video. So I'll read one more like shorter-ish book for this round. I think it's going to be Exhalation by Ted Chiang, because it's some short stories, and short stories are just lovely. So I'm hoping I can kind of end this video on a high note. So with that said, done with this. 1 more to go for this video, 7 more to go overall. Hey there! I've gotten started on the next book, and I think the last one for this vlog, Exhalation by Ted Chiang. So I've been waiting for my phone to charge because I need to do some yard work and I want to listen to a audiobook while I do that. And so I read the first story in this collection and I really liked it. It had sort of like a parable kind of quality to it, medievally Cairo or Baghdad kind of a thing. It was really enjoyable. The writing isn't as like beautiful as I was maybe expecting, but I liked the story. So this bodes well for the collection as a whole. Yeah, I'm excited. So anyway, I'm gonna do a little yard work, and I think maybe this is gonna be one where like I read a story, I kind of do something else, I read a story just to sort of palate cleanse a little bit. But yeah, I'm hoping over the next couple of days I'll get through this. Thumbs up so far. Okay, I'm about to go grab some groceries, but I just wanted to mention, I just finished what is basically a novella in the middle of this collection, and it deals with the topic of like artificial intelligence and how that relates to like sexuality and free will, etc. In that novella, far better than Machines Like Me did in an entire novel. Like, it is far and away a superior treatment of the same kind of material. I thought it was actually really, really good. I just wanted to, I guess, shade another book and say that I am now more than halfway through. I'm gonna go grab some groceries and then I may end up polishing this off today. I thought I might spread it out, but I'm really into this. I'm very much enjoying this collection. It's well written and thoughtful and genuinely deep, not kind of like fake deep, which I appreciate. Okay, so I'm actually done with this thing. I wasn't expecting to speed through this in one day. I thought that this would be, since it's short stories, like that's a prime candidate to kind of plug it in when you have an extra 45 minutes before you're gonna go to bed or something. Just sped right through this because I ended up really loving this. I was thinking like 4 stars because, with short story collections, there's always, or typically there's, ones that you like better than others to the point where maybe you don't think of it as a favorite. But I think I have to give this 4.5 stars because there is one story in this called Phallos, and it just hit me where I live so much. I think if you come from a background of like fundamentalism or like really any kind of fundamental religion, or like specifically if you were kind of brought up thinking young earth creationism is something you have to believe or else you can't be a whatever, it just hit me right here. And the last line of it just made me burst out in tears because I just related to it so much, and it also really evokes my favorite line in all of Jane Eyre, which, if you guys know, is my favorite book. So that story for me, I think, tips it over. Like, that's a story I want to reread a few times because it really just really moved me. But there's a lot of really good stories in here. Like the first one I really enjoyed. It's like one of my favorite time travel stories throughout this project. Let me look up the names of these so I get them right. Okay, so The Merchant and The Alchemist's Gate. That's that one. That was probably my second or third favorite. And then my other second or third favorite was probably Dacey's Patent Automatic Nanny, just because it was tonally both of those hit tones that I very much like in a short story. The Alchemist's Gate one being kind of fable-like, and Dacey's Patent Automatic Nanny being in the style of like fake history. So both of those were two I really liked. The Great Silence, I thought, packed a real punch for such a short story. That also kind of hit me in my feelings. And then the novella that's in the middle of this is called The Life Cycle of Software Objects, and I think I mentioned in one of my check-ins. I think a much better exploration of like the morality implications of AI than machines like us, if we're gonna go for other things I've read during this project. So all in all, I think I have to give this 4.5 stars. Now, I think I would still say The Light Brigade is one I liked better as a book overall, but this is really excellent. I totally see why this got so much hype and praise. Yeah, if you're looking for like literary speculative fiction, yeah, I think you're gonna be hard pressed to do a lot better than this. So this does make me curious to try more from this author. Really love this, and I'm very surprised that I managed to just blaze through this so quickly. Well, I don't remember what my rankings are. Let's check in one more time, and I'll run through where we are in the rankings as of the end of this video and what the 6 books I have left to read are, because I don't fully remember all of that off the top of my head. So let's go ahead and wrap up this phase. So I am looking at my spreadsheet, and I have now gotten through 14 of the books that I was planning to read. So I've only got 6 left. The 6 I have left, 3 are pretty chunky and 3 are pretty average length. So the chunky ones are Leviathan Wakes, Wanderers, and Children of Time. And then the kind of more average length ones are The City in the Middle of the Night, The Future of Another Timeline, and Here, Now, and Then. 6 left. Of those, I'm gonna be honest, none of them are like super exciting to me. If I was gonna tell you one that I'm most looking forward to, probably Wanderers, just because I've always wanted to try Chuck Wendig. And I don't know, after trying to get through fall, it made me realize like, oh, I could get into like a really, like a nice long dystopian kind of thing. So hopefully that will go a little bit better than fall did. But anyway, in terms of the final ranking from what I have read so far, I think overall the second round had more things that I liked and a couple things I didn't. So I would say the biggest thing I enjoyed was obviously Exhalation. That was the one I just finished up, and I did end up giving it 4.5 stars. And then the thing I liked probably second best was A Memory Called Empire. And then The Test, like all 3 of those are in my top 5 now for what I've read so far. So those were the highlights. Definitely the lowlights were Fall, which wasn't terrible. It just was so long that you guys saw. I decided I couldn't quite get through it and invest that much time in something I was so meh about. In terms of something that I finished that I liked the least, that would definitely be Red Rising. It just wasn't for me, and I can see how it would be for other people, but I really struggled with the writing in it, and then, yeah, just thematically not my fave. So I think that's where we will leave off. When next we talk, we'll be reading the last 6 books, and then I will reflect on how this whole project went. So far, I am really glad I decided to do this year. I think this has been broadening my horizons, helping me get to some books that I don't think I would have prioritized otherwise. And just generally, I think I'm learning more and more about my taste as a sci-fi reader. So that will do it for this round. Let me know what you thought of some of the books that we have talked about in this leg of the journey. And I think that will do it for now. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below. And I think that will do it. I hope you are having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!